Today we are looking at the leaked patch notes 1.6.0 for the mid-season 1 of the finals. My name is Chris, let's get started. We are going to have the season 1 new event called Steal the Spotlight, where you would have to fight against turrets and tripwires as a heavy class. Sounds terrible, probably will feel terrible as well, but we'll see. For now, we'll be removing Solo Banquet from the game. In my personal opinion, Solo Banquet felt like a very cheap version of Deathmatch from AliExpress, where you have 11 light players, invisible light players, running around the battlefield, not willing to peek, not willing to fight against you. And all they do is just try to 4th party, 5th party, 6th party and collect those coins just to deposit them at the cash out. And I'm definitely not against a game mode like this. There is gonna be target audience for pretty much everything, but why would they go for man versus machine kind of thing where you still don't have deathmatch, where you still don't have custom games? Like, what are you focusing your attention on? Dome shields will now use squad colors if the use enemy squad colors setting is enabled. This is going to be a massive W quality of life change that will allow you to see what heavy has utility and what spent it in a 3rd party and 4th party environment. Very important, and if you are a good player and you have mental capacity to think about things like this is gonna significantly change the way you approach fights. They increased the duration of Vanishing bomb invisibility on teammates from 5 seconds to 6 seconds and made a few quality of life changes, but at the end of the day, this does not change anything fundamentally. Cloaking device, aka your light invisibility, is still a superior ability. That is an absolute S tier, and especially if you take the massive Recon rework into consideration, you'll quickly realize that light with invis is going to always be better than a guy with dashes plus vanishing bomb. Improved placement validation for ziplines, making them easier to deploy. Thank you very much for that change. We've been waiting for that our whole lives after the release, because what would happen before is that you would have to go through absolute pain, misery and despair if you would want to place the zipline on top of the building and not somewhere in the middle. Sometimes ziplines would break, sometimes ziplines would not work, sometimes they're going to be invisible, but you will still be able to use them, and overall it's just a very buggy experience. And I've heard people saying that they are not using ziplines because they are too afraid to mess them up. So hopefully right now double movement will become even better. They made a few changes to Las Vegas, making it easier to travel around the map, but it does not change the fact that Las Vegas is a fundamentally terrible map with a lot of close quarters and unbalances. By the way, have you noticed that they completely removed the Sandstorm Las Vegas game mode from the game for like a few weeks and no one is talking about that? The mesh shield will now use squad colors if the use enemy squad colors setting is enabled. This is a massive W quality of life change update, and it should have been in the game from the start, simply because, especially at the higher levels of play, you'll quickly realize that when people are 3rd partying and 4th partying, there is like so much chaos around the battlefield, and you really need to understand if a certain team has enough utility to peek you or they are out of cooldowns. The difference between enemy heavy having mesh shield and not is literally the difference between life and death in some situations. Added a range limit to Recon sensors set to 30 meters. Players outside of this range will not be detected. Players detected by Recon sensors will now see detected warning text on their HUD. This is actually crazy. It completely killed the Recon as a meta ability. If you guys are interested, I'm gonna make an ability tier list after this update, but to foreshadow a little bit, Recon Senses went from being an absolute S tier and a must for pretty much every single composition to being a throw pick, B- tier maximum, because what would happen now is that Even though you will be able to gather information on enemies that are 30 meters close, which is like the range of pretty much every single building in the game realistically, you won't be able to spot anyone rotating, you won't be able to see if someone is cash camping you, you won't be able to reliably take duels against players that are going for the healing beam. Guardian turret is still a very throw pick, so this is going to be the heal beam meta. You will see a lot more double medium compositions that are walking their dog on a leash, on 2 leashes, because they are afraid the dog is gonna run away. You will see light class getting a lot more play, because like the Recon was literally the biggest kryptonite light class could possibly receive, and now developers finally cooked it out of the game. If you are still going to be using Recon senses, that's gonna be a complete throw. This is pretty much unplayable, especially at the higher levels of gameplay. In ranked, everything is gonna work. They haven't added SBMM, so that's just nothing. But outside of that, yeah, Recon senses are completely cooked. Update footstep audio and mix for players, teammates, and enemies. This is another massive quality of life update, because I have very sensitive ears and I absolutely hate loud noises, I absolutely hate gunshots, so my game is as loud as I can possibly allow it to be. And sometimes what would happen is that I would miss audio cues that would win me the team fight or win me the duel, just because it's just blasting in my ears for no particular reason. Hopefully the footsteps are gonna be a bit louder, the gunshots are gonna be a little bit quieter, and overall the audio balance would be on the spot right now. Added 10 more levels to the career rank along with additional rewards. Maximum rank is now 50. This is also really good. I would honestly implement the loot box system that they had in Overwatch 1 before, where the more you grind, more you have access to better skins. You would be able to collect in-game currency by spending hours and gaining experience instead of spending your money. Added gyro aiming options for PS5 DualSense and PS4 DualShock controllers. Fixed an issue with aim assistance sensitivity reduction that caused almost no sensitivity reduction to be applied to targets closer to the player than 20 meters. Reduced input latency on PS5. Another quality of life update for console players. They are still very much inferior to mouse and keyboard due to aim assist nerf, but if they are playing crossplay off and if they are just having fun against other controller players, buff them however you want, fix them however you want, I am all for that. Fixed an issue where player statues could not be targeted for revives when lying in foliage. Fixed an issue where player statues could not be targeted for revival when carried. This was an extremely annoying bug, and I would fail my defibrillators like 1 out of 10 times due to the trophy laying in some cover, whether it's gonna be foliage or other texture, or it's gonna be on the edge of the bubble, or it's gonna be at the edge of the mesh, and it would just cancel. Instead of reviving my teammate, I would waste my time, be out of position, out of cooldowns, and completely not ready to fight back. Massive W and quality of life change. Lower the number of rounds required to play a ranked tournament from 60 to 45. I'm personally not a big fan of a change like this. As a new player, I would rather spend additional 2 hours learning the fundamental principles of the game. Not only that, but ranked is just overall terrible for new players. You're gonna end up matching against top 500 players as a bronze, and overall you're just gonna have insanely bad time. When we talk about other ways that people will exploit it, cheaters are gonna be a lot more present, simply because the accounts are gonna be cheaper to buy, and then it's gonna take less hours to, you know, get them ranked ready. So I don't like this.